brand new home and you see a sign in the front yard of one you like and it says exclusive or exclusively listed. What does that mean? This is a real question that I received from one of my first-time buyers, and I think it's a great question. As a first-time buyer, you may be wondering the same thing, but even someone who has bought a home before may not know the answer. Here is my listing sign that I put on homes when I have them listed for sale. Notice how it says exclusively. Does that mean that to buy the home, a buyer needs to call me since my name is on the sign? The short answer is no. If you are a buyer and are interested in an exclusively listed home, you can still use an agent or broker of your choice. You do not have to go through the listing agent on the sign. And it's actually wise that you don't do that. The listing broker is already representing the sellers, and to represent both sides creates a dual agency. A broker can't represent the best interest of both parties if they are coordinating both sides of the transaction. It's a bit difficult to negotiate in this situation. There are some situations where it might make sense to use the same broker on both sides, but if you do reach out to a broker listed on a sign, they will most likely refer you to another broker to represent you. So what does exclusively mean then? It's actually more important to know this answer if you are a seller. It means that the brokerage whose name is on the sign, in my case John L. Scott, has the exclusive right to sell the property. The seller has agreed to list with only one brokerage, and that firm is entitled to the commission or compensation if the property sells during the listing term that they have agreed on. In Washington State, there are technically 3 types of agreements for selling your home, but 2 are very rare. The first is an open listing or non-exclusive agreement. This is very rarely used in residential transactions, and many MLS services, or multiple listing services, don't allow them. Under an open listing, the seller may have agreements with more than one brokerage and is only required to pay the commission or compensation to the broker and their firm if they are the procuring cause of the sale or responsible for bringing the buyer. To be the procuring cause means you usually must have personally negotiated the offer from the ready, willing, and able buyer. Open listings are rare because it means multiple brokers could be trying to sell the same home, and only the one that does gets compensated for it. As brokerages and brokers, this isn't a desirable situation, as we have out-of-pocket costs when we sell a home. We typically pay for photos and all the advertising when marketing a home, as well as potential other costs. A broker generally won't want to do that if they may not even get compensated for it when the home sells, if another broker is the one that negotiates the contract. This type of listing is less advantageous to a seller as well, as the brokers involved may not put as much effort into selling their homes, since they might not even be compensated for it in the end. It could potentially take longer to sell. In addition, open listings can lead to disputes about who is actually responsible for bringing the buyer, which is why many MLSs prohibit them. If multiple brokers are marketing a home and the seller is involved as well, it can be very difficult and messy to determine who really brought the buyer when it sells, which could lead to legal disagreements and lawsuits. Even if an MLS did allow this type of agreement, it would be rare for brokers and their brokerages to agree to one. The second type is an exclusive agency agreement. Now, this is still different than what the exclusive means on the sign. With an exclusive agency listing, the seller agrees to list with only one brokerage firm, but retains the right to sell the property themselves without being obligated to pay compensation to the brokerage firm. In this case, the brokerage firm will be compensated if anyone but the seller finds a buyer for the property. But if the seller finds the buyer, then they will not. Again, these are really rare since a broker that is working to sell the home would most likely be paying for all those photos and marketing costs, and there could be other costs as well. But if someone showed up on the seller's doorstep and said they wanted to buy it from the seller, then even though the brokerage and the broker has done all the marketing for the home, they may not be entitled to any compensation. Most brokerages don't allow this type of agreement either because they increase the chance of a dispute between the seller and the listing firm as to who was the procuring cause of the sale. Which leads us to the most common type of agreement between a seller and a brokerage, which is the exclusive right to sell agreement. In this case, the seller agrees that the brokerage firm they sign with is entitled to their compensation no matter who finds the buyer. This type of agreement gives the brokerage and the broker the best chance of getting compensated for doing the work, and the chances for conflict over who the procuring cause of the sale is eliminated. This is what it means when you see the exclusive or exclusively on the sign. The great majority of residential listing agreements are exclusive rights to sell. A good realtor will work hard for our clients, From doing pre-listing research, providing recommendations on how to make your home look appealing to buyers, to suggestions on how to price your home competitively. We also usually arrange and pay for photos and other marketing costs out of pocket, which comes out of our portion of the commission in the end. We negotiate offers on your behalf, and we guide our sellers through each step of the way, all the way through to closing. When you sign an agreement with a real estate brokerage, you will most likely be signing the exclusive right to sell agreement. A brokerage must have an agreement signed with the seller to be able to sell their home. In it, they will agree that they have the right to sell the home, that they will pay compensation, and the agreement will note what the agreed upon commission is. It gives us permission to list the home on the MLS and to market it. It gives us permission to put a key box on the door to allow buyers agents and their buyers to tour the home, although there can be exceptions to that. Your broker should allow you to thoroughly read and be willing to discuss the items included in the exclusive right to sell listing agreement before you sign. So as a buyer, the key thing you need to know about an exclusive listing is that it really doesn't impact you. It impacts the selling side, but it is good for you to know about it for when you become a seller at some point in the future. To learn more about buying your first home in the Puyallup, Tacoma, and surrounding areas, take a look at my other videos like the one noted here. Thanks for watching today, and I hope you will take a minute to subscribe and like my video if it was helpful. If you have any questions, please drop a comment below or find my contact details in the video description and give me a call. See you next time.